Hey, it's me again. It's still Tuesday, isn't it? It's Tuesday. Shoot. Well, anyway, my thyroid has been pressed on and mushed and had gel on it, and yes, I had the ultrasound thing done. She did like the whole neck. She checked my carotid artery stuff, the blood flow, and she said it, of course the radiologist has to review everything. The whole study, she called it a study, the whole study she did of everything. They have to look at it, and they will determine how things look, and then they will send a report to my doctor, which I don't know if she's back from vacation or not. I don't think she's back yet. She might be, but I'm not sure. But they will let me know how it looks. The ultrasound tech was kind of surprised to hear that I have not had an ultrasound before now. I've been taking Synthroid for about a little over 12 years now. I've been taking this stuff. And she said, "You've never had an ultrasound?" I said, "No, they never said anything about it before now." She said, "That's, normally people will have one done just to get an idea of the function and everything." So she was kind of surprised to hear that hasn't ever been done before. So initial impression, of course, she can't, do the official reading. The radiologist does that, but she said there were no nodules, there are no masses. My thyroid is very small. Apparently, it's very little. She had a hard time finding it. She's like, "I know there's one in here somewhere, so we're gonna find it." It was very small. She said some of them just pop right out. They're like, really easy to see. Mine, she really had to go digging for it. Like, ow, stop jabbing me. So she found it, but she said it's quite small. Like, is that good or bad? She said, well, it's not a typical size, but for hypothyroid, you typically don't see a typical size. It's normally, maybe a little funky looking, but we don't have anything to compare it to because I've never had an ultrasound before, so we don't know what it looked like in the past, years ago. We don't know if it's changed or not. But she said, we have to just wait and see what the radiologist says. But she didn't see anything that jumped out at her. But again, that's, she made it clear, like, I can't give you I can't say anything officially, but I don't see any nodules. I don't see any masses. I don't see anything that looks super duper out of place. Anyway, she said it should be a couple days before the radiologist submits their information and their report to my doctor. So yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens, but I'm just glad it's over. Yeah, it went really well. It didn't take very long. It took maybe, 20 minutes to look at everything and take pictures and do some short video clips of, moving it around and looking at, I don't know, it all looked like blobs to me. And I said, "I'm glad you know what you're doing," because I had my head, like, she had me laying down and the screen was up here, so I could kind of tilt my head back and see what she was doing. I had to keep my head back anyway, so I'm just watching the screen the whole time. Like, I'm glad you know what you're looking at, because I don't know what we're looking at. It just looks like a bunch of blobs. So yeah, so I'm just glad that that's done. I'm glad that she didn't see anything that jumped out at her as bad. But again, the radiologist has to look at it, so we have to wait and see what they say. But nothing initially, nothing to worry about right now. So, but we'll wait and see what the radiologist says, and then we'll see what my doctor says. I don't know. Maybe she was just looking through my chart and realized, shoot, we've never done an ultrasound on her thyroid. Maybe we need to do that, especially now that the blood work is goofy. Of course, the ultrasound tech doesn't know anything about the blood work or anything like that. So she said, "Yeah, I'm just going to do take pictures and show them everything, and then they will take that information and use it to figure out what's, what, if anything, needs to be done. So hopefully nothing needs to be done. So I'm glad that's over. Now I'm gonna go home and mop the floor. I got it all cleaned up. My son was gonna mop it. My younger son was gonna mop it, but he's at school and I've got time to do it. I just want to go ahead and do it. I'll get him to do some other work. I'm gonna have him out there pulling weeds later anyway. So he can pull weeds. I hate pulling weeds. Let him do it. Yeah, I'm gonna come up with a chore chart for him this summer. My older son will be at work, but I'm still gonna have stuff for him to do, but his work will look a little different because he won't be there as much. But my younger son, I'm gonna come up with a chore chart, because that's what my mom used to do for my brother and me every summer. She would put a list on the refrigerator. Okay, here's what you're doing in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We each had a chore to do every day. And she said, do it first thing before you get into anything else. Go ahead and get your chore done. And we would switch. There were 2 lists of chores, and we would switch every week. Every other week every week we would do A or B. You know what I'm saying? So we weren't doing the same stuff every day. We would take turns doing the list. And it was actually pretty great. The chores usually didn't take very long. You could just go ahead and get it done, and then you had the rest of the day to do whatever you wanted to do. And she was going to work all day, so we were at home alone. So my mom and dad would be at work, so we would get your chore done before you do anything else, and then you're free to do whatever you want the rest of the day. So a lot of times I'd go fishing. I'd walk up to the pond at my grandparents' house and I would fish. I'd go out there and just fish all day. I throw them back though. I don't like fish. I don't eat fish. I don't like fish. I just like catching them, and I'll throw them back. I go out there and fish all day long. I love it. I haven't been fishing in so long. I want to go. I don't know. I guess it's not important enough for me to actually get around to doing it. I don't know. But I would like to go at some point. I don't think I went even one time last summer. But I spent most of my time outside because, this was back before the internet. We didn't have cable. There's only so much on TV. Like, I'd watch The Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal. I like those shows. I really miss Press Your Luck. If you were a kid back in the 80s, do you remember Press Your Luck? That show was so great with the whammies. I love that show. Oh, I don't know why they took it off. That was the best show. Damn, and then there was that guy that memorized the board because it looks random, but it's actually not, and he figured it out. And he would just sit there like no emotion. He always knew when to hit that thing to stop it. And he ended up making like an obscene amount of money. And I don't remember what happened with that, but it was a whole big deal. And I think it was not long after that they took the show off. Once that guy cracked the code of the board. It was crazy. But I loved Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. And I think it was old episodes they used to show on this VHF station that we got. And I loved Monty Hall. I loved him on Let's Make a Deal. It was so great. I loved it. Never knew which curtain to pick. Do you take the curtain? Do you take the box? Do you take door number 2? Oh, it might be was it a zonk? Was that what it was? Like there'd be an old donkey back there in a pile of trash. That was the best show. I swear, young kids today, man, they don't know. I really think the world was better off before the internet came along. I do. It's something that it's a good topic for debate. Are we better off or worse off with the internet? And there are pros and cons. You could argue it either way, that we are better off overall or we are worse off. I can think of a ton of reasons for and against for the internet, just like the internet in general. And then social media, I think social media is a net negative. I don't think it has helped. I don't think it's contributed anything meaningful to society as I sit here talking to you on YouTube. I get the irony of it. I can feel the irony. It is palpable. Overall, I think social media is a net negative. I think we would be better off without it. I don't think it's going to benefit mankind in any way. And because my kids and I, especially my older son, we love to talk about, thought-provoking topics, things that you could argue for or against. And one that we talked about recently was, do you think people today, in general, are happier than people, say, 100 years ago? I mean, overall, do you think people today are happier than the average person 100 years ago, or even 200 years ago? Or, I would say no. I think people 100 years ago overall were happier than we are. I think they had more life satisfaction. I think people today are very unhappy. It seems like the more we advance, the more miserable we become, and it's just, I'm talking overall. I think people were happier before. Yeah, they didn't live as long. Yeah, they didn't have all the luxuries that we do, but I still think they were happier. But again, that could be, I don't know. I didn't live back then. I don't know how happy people were. I may be wrong about that, but people today, look at all the depression. I just think people are less happy now. All the drug abuse, it's just, I think people are miserable overall. It sucks, but we were talking about that, and we also, another topic we discussed, and these are things that I think people should do more often. Be open to putting your damn phone away, sit down and just talk to people, especially people you don't agree with. We need to get back to where we can have open and honest and civil discussions with people we don't agree with. That was one thing when I went to college. I went off to college in the early 90s, and that was the thing, that was the drum beat back then. You need to open your mind. You need to expand your horizons, look at different perspectives, listen to people who have different points of view. You may learn something. You may realize, oh my God, I never thought about that. That's a good point. And we've gotten to the point where it's like most people cannot do that anymore. They cannot stand to have to listen to someone they don't agree with. And that is how you destroy a civilization. When you have it to the point that people cannot talk to one another without wanting to kill each other, that's when your civilization falls apart. I think that's where it starts. I don't know how the hell I got off on that. I started out talking about light and frothy topics, like let's make a deal. And then I get all heavy. And another thing that my son and I were talking about not too long ago, and this is kind of controversial. A lot of people this would be a tough topic for a lot of people to debate. Just listen. Do you think that religion, and I'm not talking about any particular religion, do you think religion has been a net positive or a net negative for humanity? Now that's a touchy one. I could see some heated debates coming out of that. Do you think, and I won't tell you what we decided, but just think about it. And I'm talking about religion in general. I'm not talking about any particular religion. Do you think mankind is better off because of religion or worse off? I'm talking overall, not individual examples of anything. Overall, has it been a positive or a negative overall? That's an interesting one. And I'm not trying to get y'all started debating stuff in the comment section. I'm just saying that was something that we talked about too. But we also talk about other stuff like, what's the most useless bug? Which insect is the most, which one should we get rid of? And that's hard, because originally I said the yellow jacket, but then there are points for the yellow jacket. So I go back to roaches or fleas or mosquitoes. Shit, get rid of all three. I don't care. But, I bet for all three there's something you can say, well, yeah, but they do this. What the hell do fleas do? They spread bubonic plague. What do mosquitoes do? They spread malaria and other shit. What do they do that actually helps anything? Nothing. Roaches are just gross. God, I hate roaches. I rented this apartment when I was living in Wilmington. And this was a time when it really would have done me well to have a backbone where I could actually speak up and defend myself. I rented this apartment, and it was a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was cheap. I remember it was a good deal, and I was sick and tired of dealing with roommates. So I was really happy to find a 1-bedroom apartment. But when I moved in, that apartment was crawling with roaches. I mean, every flat surface in that apartment had roaches on it. Oh my God, it was awful. Roaches everywhere. And I was very meek and mild. I had no spine. I was maybe 19 years old. And I was about 20 at this point. And let's see, it was my senior year, so I was 20. Because I was 21 when I graduated. Anyway, so I go up to the office of this apartment complex, and I'm like, I hate to be a bother, but, and I'm just like, I hate to bother you, but there seems to be a roach problem I just rented this apartment over here, and there seems to be a roach problem. And the guy behind the desk was like, well, that's your problem, not mine. You got roaches in your apartment. Just deal with it. Like, well, I just moved in. Well, then you need to deal with the roaches, don't you? And he just basically just dismissed me. Like, that's your problem. Don't bother me with that. And I realize now that was bullshit, and I should have called him on it. I just went, okay, sorry. I'm sorry to bother you. Sorry. I didn't know if you knew that there were roaches. I'm sorry. So what I ended up having to do, oh my God. Okay. I had to bug bomb that place 3 times, like the foggers, the little things you set it off and leave for like 8 hours. I had to do that 3 times to get rid of all the roaches in this apartment. I've never seen an infestation of roaches like that in my life. Every night before I went to sleep, I had a pair of like flat sandals. I would go around with my sandal smacking roaches, just trying to kill as many as I could. And I would wake up in the middle of the night, they would be on my face, like, oh Jesus, it was awful. Ugh. Blech. You want to hear something really gross? Sorry. I'm just a roller coaster. I'm so damn glad to have that ultrasound done. I was bringing in my stuff into the apartment to move in, and I looked at the microwave. There was a little microwave on the counter, and I opened it up, and it has the little turntable in it. Underneath the turntable, it was like black, and I thought, ew. I figured it was just like grease or food or something that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to clean that out. So I picked it up. It was all roaches. They all scattered. It was a solid layer of roaches just chilling in the microwave. I should just shut the door and turn the damn thing on. Yes, 3 bug bombs and lots of sandal slaps and roach spray. It took me probably 2 or 3 months to finally get rid of all the roaches in that apartment. It was awful. It was awful. I'm at Costco. I'm gonna put some gas in my car while I'm here. But yeah, I think kids would be better off if you kept them off the internet. That's why people like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they don't let their kids spend much time online. They really don't. They keep them off of it because they know it's bad for them. Oh, they want your kids on there all day, but they don't have their kids on there. They don't let their kids do that. Yeah, I think my generation growing up had it better than kids today. I really do. Allergies, sorry. Let's see, what's gas price today at Costco? Regular gasoline is $3.79. Premium gasoline is $4.49. Fortunately, I don't have to get premium. I have to get regular. And that's one thing I always check before I even consider buying a car. Does it take regular gas or premium? If it takes premium, I don't want it. No. I don't need a diva. I don't need to drive a highfalutin car that needs fancy gas that costs a lot more than regular gas. So, yes, I love to have discussions with people. I don't like big crowds, but I love an intimate discussion with like 2 or 3 people. Even if it's a touchy topic, that's okay. I don't mind it. You would have to work pretty hard to offend me to the point that I would not want to talk to you about something. I'm willing to discuss anything. Because that's you know, when I went off to college, that's what they were always saying, like, you know, open your mind. You need to be willing to listen to other people and, you know, discuss the things that you may not agree on, and see if you can understand why they feel the way they do, and vice versa. And I think we've lost that. And when I was in the church, I saw what that does, because when I was in the church, they control what you see, they control what you hear, and they will literally tell you, we will decide what you need to see and hear because we have the power of discernment, and basically you're too stupid to listen to other things because you won't understand what's true and what's not. You need us to tell you that. And I see that now out in the world, and it's frightening as hell because I know where that goes. I know what that leads to. And it's not good for humanity. Come on, homeboy. This little old man's filling up his Highlander. Okay, I better go. I hope y'all have a great day. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.